Are you ready? What's my name? What's my name? Say Kareem Ali. Say Kareem Ali. You're listening to
Are you serious?
the Hip Hop Debate Show.
Okay, so hear me out.
The official podcast of Kareem Ali. In about 2 seconds, Kareem Ali will begin to speak.
Plot was dope.
Wow. Okay. I can wait for that to come to streaming then.
Yeah. Kareem Ali TV, the Are You Serious podcast, where we discuss various topics through the lens of hip hop culture. And again, today, we're not wasting any time. We're talking hoops, hip hop, hoops, all that shit, man. And Kareem Ali is a little agitated, but I'm gonna get to it. Let me introduce the people on the show. We got Jay Swan with the Venom shirt on. Returning also, JJ Loves to Teach, my guy. Yeah. Look at the studious and shit with the glasses. I like it, my nigga. And Langston Hughes, Victor Rogers.
I also have glasses.
Yeah, but your GPA for some reason just doesn't look as high as JJ Love. 3.2. If you take them off, though, I don't know you.
My name is Victor Rogers hates to teach.
We're gonna see how smart you guys are today, because I hope I'm not talking to casual fans. It has come to my attention that the NBA world and certain casual fans who don't know much are taking Steph Curry and comparing him to EARVIN Magic Johnson, saying that he is the best point guard of all time and not Magic. Now, not everybody's saying this. Some are saying that he's at least number 2. More on that in a second. In about 2 seconds, Kareem Ali will begin to speak. Listen, Steph Curry is a great player. He's known as, or he's been considered or reviewed or viewed as the greatest shooter of the basketball in the history of the game, and that's probably true. There's been some great shooting in this league, and Steph Curry, I mean, his stroke motion, his ability to hit from deep, from long range, double pause, it's unbelievable the way he takes the shots from, his ball handling ability. But as a point guard, even as a player, to compare him to someone like Magic Johnson, or to even dare to say like someone like Screaming A. Smith, to say that he's somehow better than Magic, with everything that Magic has meant to the game, with someone who's been considered maybe the best all-around player ever, that's maybe challenged a little more now, but coming up big in 3 categories, able to play 5 positions, leading the Lakers to 5 NBA championships in the 1980s, one of the most competitive eras, 9 NBA Finals appearances in his first 12 seasons, which is also just insane, and continue to play at that level. At one point being the all-time assist leader. I think he's second all-time in triple doubles. Maybe he's third now, next to Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook with his flimsy triple doubles that has been handed out over the last several years. How can we compare Steph Curry? How can we say that this guy is better than the Magic Man? Slankson, I'll go to you first.
Okay. I will say this. Yes, he is the best shooter in the history of the game. Hard to argue that. For a long time, it was Ray Allen had the stats. And you could argue between Ray Allen and maybe, say, a Steve Kerr in terms of just pure shooting. He's not the best point guard ever, because even to compare him as a point guard playing player, he doesn't even play, like a pure point guard. I mean, he's more like a lead guard who handles the ball a lot. But because of the way that team was constructed, because of their style of play and how they changed the way people play the game from the arc beyond, like, they don't necessarily need a pure point guard. Therefore, by default, it's hard to even compare him to other great point guards. So it's very skewed. It's very curved to be like, oh, he's the best point guard ever. But even if you want to say that, just based off his brilliance as a basketball player, he doesn't eclipse Magic Johnson as a point guard or as a basketball player. One, because Magic Johnson was probably the purest point guard ever in terms of how he was able to facilitate to a whole lot of other. He made other players that much better. So many of the Showtime Lakers were very good, but they were made Hall of Famers because Magic Johnson was on that team. Now, what I would say, though, is that you could maybe argue I won't say. I'll say that it's even hard to argue that he's eclipsed the second best point guard of all time, who's Oscar Robertson, in my opinion. The first great big guard of all time. Like Oscar Robertson's stats alone, like it's Jerry Rice-esque how far ahead of so many he is in stats when you compare a point guard to anybody. So even second best point guard of all time. I'll take it a step further. I'm not sure you can say he's the third best point guard of all time because Pistol Pete Maravich, like, come on, Pistol Pete was the standard of point guard by many standards for a long time as well. So he might be the fourth best point guard of all time, even if you could argue that he's in the top 12 players of all time, because he does more as an overall basketball player, even the way he slept on as a defender in some of his later seasons, than he does as the quote-unquote technical accoutrements of point guard play. Like, he has the handle, he can penetrate, but he's not necessarily a floor general because he can score so well, and he's called on to score so much. I would put Chris Paul above him of point guards all time.
I could agree with that. JJ loves to teach. What do you have to say about this issue?
No, I agree with everything that Slayton said. Well, not everything, but his main point. Steph is not a pure point guard. Like, let's just put it like that. Like, I think that also too, just to kind of put in perspective, I don't think that we respect a lot of players as much as we do after they retired. I feel like people argue if Jordan was really the best while Jordan was playing. LeBron now, like, how we talk about his stats and stuff like that. I feel the same way about Steph. Like, people on both sides, kind of going to the extremes with him being the best or not being the best. Me personally, I think that he's in the talk. If you're talking about comparison and stuff like that, that's cool. That's cute to do. But yeah, I definitely don't think that he's on the same tier as a Magic Johnson right now. Not yet. I really just don't see him as a point guard. Like,
Jay Swan?
Yeah.
Well, I think I give Steph Curry his props. I think he makes it to the top 10 players of all time after winning that last championship, the previous one. But better than EARVIN Magic Johnson, no way. Magic Johnson won his first title at 19 years old.
He was 20.
Well, don't matter. And he in that last game, they took it to game 6, right? Or game 7, right?
42.7 assists and 15 rebounds.
Right. He did
against
that.
Dr. J and a powerful Sixers team.
And man, like, he led the league in assists like maybe 3 or 4 times in that era. And like, in my personal opinion, man, like, if Magic Johnson never got sick in 91 or around that time period, he could have been the greatest basketball player ever.
It was debatable, and I remember that time period, and it was a huge question as to who was better between Magic and Michael. It was Magic, Michael, and Larry, and as Larry Bird started to get injured and Michael started to ascend, at that point, Magic Johnson, I would say between 1987 and 1990, probably was the best player in the NBA. His control, he's someone who I felt had the highest basketball IQ of all time. His control of the pace of the game and his leadership and bringing the most out of the players he played with, and just to almost being like a puppet master on the court and making things happen was just like second to none. It was kind of like the way you saw LeBron James maybe like in 2018 or some of those seasons dragging teams to the finals and moving pieces around. That was to a lesser extent of what Magic Johnson had the ability to do in the 80s and early 90s. So it was debatable for a while, and maybe until Michael Jordan won his 4th championship. Then there began to be a separation as to what most of the basketball world thought. Before that, Magic was the guy. He was the leader. So I don't know.
And back in like in that early 90s, if you didn't get sick, like I said, I think, you know, him and Jordan would have went back and forth in the finals each and every year, in my opinion. Because like Magic was just that dude. So
I agree.
Come on.
I would say that as a point guard, though, as far as greatest little man, I don't necessarily consider Steph Curry a little man. He's 6'3.5". I remember Slankston, we had a show before, and I was ranking Isaiah Thomas over Steph Curry because of his toughness, the finals MVP, the 2 championships, and who he beat in the playoffs, Magic, Michael, and Larry in their primes to get to the finals and win championships. I would be willing to succeed and put Steph Curry over Isaiah Thomas as a player, but as a point guard, I don't know. You're talking about somebody who averaged 9.3 assists a game for his career, compared to Steph Curry, who averages 6.5. And then also, if you look at John Stockton as a point guard, he has more assists and more steals than anybody in NBA history. He has 15,000 assists in his career. People don't realize how great John Stockton was from a point guard standpoint. So I would argue that John Stockton is a better point guard than Steph Curry, but not a better player.
So we're saying basically the conclusion here is that Steph Curry is the 7th best point guard in NBA history, maybe, because he's not better than Magic Johnson. He's not better than Isaiah Thomas. He's not better than Oscar Robertson. He's not better than Pistol Pete.
But he's
not better than John Stockton as a point guard. And as a point guard, he may not be better than the other Steph point guard, Stephon Marbury.
Listen, though.
So there we go.
Listen, though. He may be the second or third best player to ever play the position. It's not from
that's an
a standpoint. But
third or
maybe
best
that's what people
player,
are saying.
but not the third or best
playing the
point
position.
Right.
At that position, he may be the second or third, depending on what you want to do with Oscar Robertson, player to play that position. 6 finals in 8 years, 4 championships.
You believe in that too?
Huh?
Jerry West, point guard.
Jerry West is a shooting guard.
He led the league.
He was a 2.
From the 2, though, which says a lot about Jerry West.
Yeah, he was a 2.
The logo.
He was a 2. Okay, so let me get to my next point about Steph Curry. I believe that Steph Curry is slowly becoming, as great as I think he is, the respect that I think he should be given at his size to be able to dominate the game this way and to have the level of skill that he has. I believe that Steph Curry is slowly becoming overrated. And let me tell you why. I mean, most of the time after players win championships, the media goes crazy. We suffer from recency bias. We become prisoners of the moment. And all of a sudden, the player who just won, I remember when Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, I think in 2011 or something like that, all of a sudden, he was the greatest thing since Jesus sliced the unleavened loaf on the Last Supper. I mean, it was absurd. When Dirk won his championship, it was like the second coming of Larry Bird. He was phenomenal. Dirk Nowitzki, this and that. And when Giannis won it last year, when Kawhi won a few years ago, all of a sudden Kawhi was like Kobe Jordan or something like that. It was ridiculous. So with Steph Curry, the same. But people are saying they take the comparisons to ridiculous places. Now he's a top 10 player all of a sudden. Now some people are saying that they moved Wilt Chamberlain out of the top 10 to accommodate Steph Curry. Like, what the hell is going on?
I ain't taking Wilt Chamberlain out, bro.
People are saying, listen.
He scored 100 points in one game.
One year, Wilt Chamberlain led the league in assists.
Yes.
He was the greatest athlete. On the short list of the greatest athletes and specimens to ever play this game. And you're going to tell me
stats are crazy in many categories.
And this guy averaged like 52 in one season.
50 points, 25 rebounds, 53 points, I think it was.
Man, I think it's blasphemous to take Wilt Chamberlain out of the top 5. If you're taking him out of the top 10, like, what?
Dominated his era.
Forget about it. We're not even playing. What is this? We're not even playing basketball.
JJ, what do you have to say about that?
I would say Wilt dominated his era. Like, I mean, outside of winning ships. I mean, because, you still have Boston there in the finals. But,
statistically, though.
But, I think that.
Too, though.
Huh?
2 titles.
He does. But I mean, he's been to more finals. And I mean, but I feel like, I'm definitely not moving Steph above Wilt. They both, but for me, I can see why people like both. Why people kind of compare the two, because those two players the game has changed because of what those two players have contributed to the game. So, I mean, yeah, I can see that. I'm definitely not moving Steph just because he won one championship and got one Finals MVP. I'm not moving him into.
Okay, so let me push back for what you said. A lot of people like to say that, oh, Steph Curry changed the game. I think the game was going to change anyway because the rules changed the game. Like the rules
changed. The rules changed based on what Steph was doing and a lot of other point guards are doing.
The rules changed based on what the NBA wants to see happen. They want more offense. They want freedom of movement. They want spacing. They want shooting. Now, when Wilt Chamberlain played the game, they changed the rules to decrease his dominance.
Right.
So the rules changed that stopped Wilt from averaging these the same numbers that tried to make him less dominant, and he still found the way to adjust and still be a force in the game. When they changed the rules this time around in this previous decade that they give Steph credit for, it's enhancing his game. I wonder if Steph Curry, and I think any player who's that great could play in any era and still dominate, but their numbers are going to look different. I wonder if Steph Curry, if he was playing against the 1990 Detroit Pistons or the 1989 Pistons, with Joe Dumars being in his shorts, under him every time he takes a jump
hand check and everything. Forget about it.
Through the lane and having Rick Mahorn put an elbow in his chest and a shoulder in his face, will he still feel comfortable being able to do the things that he's doing now? I wonder, because the rules were different.
It'd be different. Yeah, he'd have to play more like Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
he'd have to
agree.
facilitate more.
Who could score if he wanted to. But Isaiah diminished his game to play point guard because that was what the Pistons needed to win at the time. But if Isaiah wanted to go out and average 25 points a game, he had the ability to do it. Did you see his hops? Did you see his handles? Why do we discredit these guys? Recency bias.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is.
I mean, as good of a player as Steph Curry is, it seems impossible to say, oh, he's overrated. But sports media lives off of the moment. Like they overrate every big moment and they underrate a lot of other moments because of the recency bias. But I would say more so it's the prisoner of the moment syndrome. You know what I mean? Like if Steph is not looking great, all of a sudden he's falling off the cliff. If Steph does what he did in the finals this year, he's the greatest of all time. Like it's an exaggeration in one direction or the other. That's how sports media works. It's the sensationalization of the moment so that they get people to click, they get people to log on, they get people to watch Stephen A screaming in the morning. Like that's how it works. You hyperbolize each moment.
Let me try to contextualize the level
and all those examples you stated throughout the years from the Kawhi Leonard on to now, like it's very accurate.
Swan, you want to say something?
Yeah, like you said, Stephen A. Smith, like he is a total Steph Curry fanboy. He was like, rooting for the Warriors every time on ESPN. But like, I feel like what they do in the media, it's kind of blasphemous when you compare Steph Curry to LeBron James. Like.
I was just getting to that. Let me tell you let me contextualize the ridiculousness.
That's part of the over exaggeration. It's like all of a sudden, that's the eclipse LeBron for this era. Like what?
Yo, you had Kevin Durant on your team, so now you're better than LeBron James. And bro, like Kyrie Irving blew his knee out in the first game of the finals. I'm like, bro, if Kyrie never got hurt, like Steph wouldn't even. I believe. Idol right there. So
let me just put it for our viewers. People were saying, the media was saying that Steph Curry in the last 10 years in the decade from 2011 to 2019, 2020 till now, Steph Curry has been the dominant player in that era and not LeBron James. And I think that's just absolutely, in the words of Screaming A. Smith, ass a 9, ass a 10. Ass to 11 and ass to 12.
I mean, he went to what? 10 straight finals, is it?
I mean,
10 straight?
I mean, look, 11, it wasn't he went to 10 total, but it was like 8 straight finals.
Like 8.
I mean, and you're saying that Steph Curry, and I mean, I can see, okay, people are saying
a Tiger Woods-esque run.
People are even saying that Steph Curry is a better player than Kevin Durant. I can see that in terms of greatness and accomplishments. Maybe you rate Curry top 12, top 15 above Durant, but he's not a better player than Kevin Durant. I would never start a team. I had these two players to choose from. I'm not going to pick Steph Curry over KD, then what's next?
Madness.
Kobe
Madness.
Bryant. Steph Curry's better than Kobe Bryant. You move Kobe
Right.
Bryant out of his top 5, top 10 position to accommodate Steph Curry.
When-
They'll be saying it. Kareem Ali said it first. Kareem Ali said it first. They'll be saying it in another year or so.
When he was winning those titles, like he wasn't even the Finals MVP. So,
Do y'all remember Matthew Dellavedova giving Steph Curry work in the first 4 games of 2000?
Hell yeah. I mean, Charles Barkley said it about KD, but it's more accurate about Steph. Like, how many times was he driving the bus? Like, how many times was he the force of when they won the finals? I would say this time. And the other times it was KD. The first time it was a combination of the
Draymond, Iguodala, Clay,
right?
And remember in the
25 won that championship together. Like, it was not one person driving the bus.
But I mean, also a victim of the recency bias. I mean, I've been seeing recently Klay Thompson being compared to Ray Allen.
We'll get to that, brother.
Yeah,
we'll that for another show.
Whoa.
I was just gonna get to that.
Whoa.
Like that literally just came across
That's
my
because
phone.
people. I'm not even gonna go there right now. We can save that. But good point, JJ. Thanks for teaching us, JJ.
I think that like what you said, the recency bias is also being a prisoner of the moment, but also I think it's also just a comparison to whoever we deem as the greatest player in the game right now, in the moment. So like, yeah, like they're putting him in Steph in the top 10 as a culmination of all those 3 things. Like, so yeah, it's the recency bias, it's prisoner of the moment. So this is his first finals MVP. And it's like, yo, LeBron, this is his record in the finals, and here's Steph's record in the finals, And it's like, but, so in comparison to who we deem as the best in the game right now, I think that's why. I mean, me personally, I don't put him in the top 10. So
in the last 3-4 years, first Kawhi Leonard was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Then all of a sudden, Giannis was the greatest force to ever walk onto the basketball.
They got power forward hybrid,
right? Of all time, all of a sudden, and now Steph Curry is better than LeBron, better than Magic, better than Kobe. Like, what is really going on?
These are all great players, though. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love these guys. I love to see them play and compete. But the casual fans and the biased media just takes these comparisons and these pedestalizations to ridiculous levels. And I'm just sick of it. Irvin Magic Johnson, are you kidding me? What the fuck?
And Kyrie made Steph Curry look like Michael Jackson in the 26
he had more skates
dancing.
From a one-on-one skill standpoint, Kyrie Irving, he outplayed Steph Curry. He manned up and really gave it to him in those 2016 finals. He averaged 29 points a game.
Yeah.
Finals. I mean, whoever had that type of help, you were your second best player, averages 29 points a game. He was giving it to Curry. I mean, but Curry fans, I don't know what to call them yet. We got the bronze sexuals and the stands of other things. I don't know what to call Curry fans. The Curry stew sauces. I don't know what we call them, bathing in curry juices or whatever. I'm not sure. But they're not going to like this episode, but I do surmise that he's becoming overrated as great of a player as he is. That's all I really got to say about it. Don't ever compare this guy to Magic Johnson. Are you kidding me? We don't believe you. We need more people.
Magic Johnson's 6'9". Like, what 6'9" point guard is there? Like,
yeah, Steph is. I mean, yeah, Steph, like, as great of a shooter he is, man. Like, he just doesn't do the same things that Magic does on the court, bro.
No.
Yeah, and he's not like a playmaker like Magic was. Like, come on, man.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Steph Curry is a hell of a playmaker, especially within that offensive system. Like, he moves around without the ball. He has the ball. He makes.
Oh, he changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being on, even not shooting, just being on the floor, he's a threat to stretch the floor. Exactly. You have to change your whole defense to kind of deal with where he is. And so now all the other players that move in constant motion off of this Steve Kerr / Greg Popovich motion offense, a lot of guys become unguardable because Steph Curry's mirror mention is on the floor. Even Kevin Durant, it made his game so much easier because Steph Curry was out there stretching the floor for him. So now you can't double Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant doesn't have to be in isolation situations.
Right. All these things was what made them so unstoppable in those 2 straight championships against Cleveland. I mean, like you said, though, the way the rules have changed, the way the rules have changed have, of course, had a lot to do with why that system and why that style of play works so well in this particular era of the NBA. But it's comparing to different eras is very difficult to do, and to just be like it eclipses what happened in this particular era just without any conversation is mind-boggling.
Does anyone else have anything else to say about this worthwhile? Because I could just drop the mic because I just don't even want to talk about it. Vaughn, you have a final thought? Nothing?
I agree with y'all.
JJ loves to teach. Do you have anything else to educate us about, sir?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't have nothing else to say, man. Everything, I agree with it. I mean, I don't think that Steph is overrated. But as a point guard, maybe. But yeah, I think he's a hell of a player, man. But yeah.
I mean, what I would say is that based off all the things that we have stated about what makes his game so formidable and what makes him great, I would say that though I wouldn't do it, I would say it's not insane to say he's a top 12 player right now all time.
Okay.
But not top 10.
He's in my top 15 for sure. He moved into my top 15 with the last championship.
And he's in my top 30.
But the media is going to tell you, mark my word. Look back at this show. Mark my word. They're going to start to tell you it's going to be Michael Jordan, Kareem, Bill Russell, and Steph Curry. That's going to be your Mount Rushmore.
You're going to put Steph Curry above Kobe, bro? You think they're going to put Steph Curry above Kobe?
I mean, LeBron's not going to be in the Mount Rushmore.
But the media already doesn't like Kobe. The media makes it seem like Kobe Bryant wasn't as good as I remember him being. Like, I have eyes. All the players who played in that generation say that Kobe Bryant was the best player they played against. And those are the experts of the game. But the media people, they have their own narrative. I don't know if they have against the guy, but they constantly disrespect him all the time. Your Chris Broussards, your Shannon Sharps, your Never Right Nick Wrights. They have all these takes that somehow Kobe Bryant somehow doesn't make it as high as he probably should be on that list. So I believe Steph Curry will be ranked over Kobe Bryant. I believe that they want to rank him over LeBron James. I don't think they'll be able to. But he's already moved Wilt Chamberlain out of the whole top 10. They have him better than
Kobe in the top.
What'd you say?
Nick Wright got Kobe in his top 6.
Of the last 50 years, Kobe Bryant is number 6, and that's probably too low because Nick Wright is a hater. He only did that because he knew people would come at him, and he's still confused by. My thing is that Nick Wright never played the game. He doesn't really know the game. He knows his numbers, but every player that comes on that show and talks about Kobe was the hardest to guard. Kobe was the best player I played against. He tries to belittle them and bully him into his opinion. He tries to belittle them with this LeBron James narrative. Anybody who thinks Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James, he tries to destroy their narrative and make it seem like they're ignorant for thinking so. I mean, you can just see it. I mean, it's like, does LeBron have you in his pocket, bro, or what? I mean, it's so dishonest.
I mean, the last show when we were talking about, when I was talking about how Jordan, the only player of that level of natural talent, who also had that little bit of evil that he needed to destroy you, that makes him just
that little bit.
Who he is. Kobe's the only player who comes within that same stratosphere of like, I am really here to take your soul right now, while also having the talent. Usually it's players who lack that talent, that extra edge is how they use that to compete against superior players. The superior player who also has that edge is Jordan, it's Kobe. I don't know if anyone else is on the list.
But there are players that definitely had that competition level, like Magic and Bird were killers. I think that Chris Paul is a killer. He just
still shook hands after the game.
He still shook hands after the game. Let's not make it
in a condescending kind of way, maybe.
No, he would have shook hands.
And then he'd be like, "Come to my hotel so I can whoop your ass at poker too." Like, I think later on, Kobe became that ambassador and he shook hands and gave tutelage to the younger players. But early on, Kobe was trying to mirror Jordan in that way, just as he did in the rest of his game.
That's just how those guys. They were built differently mentally.
You know, Kobe and Michael. You know who they are? They're Ken and Ryu. They're the same guy, pretty much.
Street Fighter reference.
I feel like people make that argument though to belittle Kobe though, like that Kobe and Michael are the same. They use that argument to belittle Kobe, and I'm just
like he just copied.
But Kobe was killing niggas. Like if you good at it, don't change it. Like why change it?
Why would you not want to emulate the best who's ever done something?
Exactly.
Right.
Like why would Larry Holmes not want to take everything he could from Muhammad Ali? It doesn't make any sense. Like why would you not try to?
And I mean, I think, and you add your own uniqueness to it. The more you hone it, I think Kobe did that with with the step back and the little eccentricities he added.
Why would
in
Nas
the post,
not want to take a little bit from Rakim if he could get a little sauce, a little? I don't understand.
To be honest with you, Kobe was a better shooter and dribbler than Michael.
His skill level was slightly elevated, but Jordan's athleticism and his size kind of gave him a little bit of an edge. What Bryant was able to do.
Kobe was taller.
What'd you say?
Kobe was a little taller as well.
Yeah, I think he was about
7. He was 6'7".
Kobe, he was 6'6". Jordan was 6'6". This is that Jordan was more muscular and Jordan was a little more explosive. He had bigger hands and his ability to finish at the rim. But I do think Kobe had the highest skill level, and a lot of players would attest to that. Like Chauncey Billups has said it, the highest skill level of anyone who's ever played, because of his post ability, his ability to defend. But Jordan, I still would say Jordan was a better player. His understanding of taking higher percentage shots and just finishing at the rim a little bit better than Bryant could, and some of his decision making. But it's hard to compare errors. But yeah, some of his decision making, even though he took bad shots too at times. But I think Kobe's confidence was so supreme that he just believed that any shot that he took was going to go in.
I mean, I always say the biggest difference between the two is that Kobe would try to make up for the deficiencies on his squad, where within the triangle offense, what Jordan learned most from Phil Jackson is that you don't have to make up for the deficiencies if you make the rest of your squad better. And that's really what Jordan learned to do by the time they started winning those championships. And I think it's the one Jordan trait that LeBron possesses that a lot of other players from this era doesn't.
That's really all we have to say about that. I've got nothing else. Kareem Ali TV. JJ, you got something else?
No, I disagree about that. I don't think LeBron makes all the players on his team better, but I can say that for another time.
That's a narrative that they try.
Depending on the season, Depending on the season.
I disagree right there.
I don't think you can make Russell Westbrook better.
But that's also, I think that's.
By the way, Chris Bosh worse.
Chris Bosh.
You said Chris Bosh?
Made him a little worse.
Damn.
Look at his numbers. Some of those guys' numbers come down.
I mean,
Kevin
he had
Love,
to succeed to
Chris Bosh,
two other big. He had to kind of succeed to Wade and LeBron.
I watched the big three, but Chris Bosh was not like a big time, four. Like he was a finesse four. Like he wasn't like rebound or anything.
I mean, he did a lot of the extra
points a game, bro.
He did a lot of the dirty work when he got to Miami, though. Like in lieu of getting as many shots, like he did.
He was the reason they beat Boston that first year in like 2011. It was either 2011 or 2012. He was out for a few games. He came back, had a humongous game in Game 6 to get them to the finals.
That was their weakness as far as like not having like a center. They didn't really have like a physical center or like a guy that's like Eric David, that didn't work.
Their perimeter defense was so strong that it just kind of didn't.
To Chris Bosh's credit, though, like he filled in a lot in that post stuff that you don't really see show up on the stat sheet as much because they didn't have someone else there.
Facts.
Like he had to do what he did, what AD has kind of refused to do in LA.
All right, well, Kareem Ali TV and All You Serious Podcasts. We'll see you next time. All right, so
very serious.
So I ended the recording. Did I end the recording?
Still recording.
So I have to stand here today as what I was when I was born, a black man.
Your racism bounces off me. I'm bulletproof. Your prejudice gets deflected, I'm bulletproof. Your hatred can't penetrate me, I'm bulletproof. Our minds can't be shackled no more, nah, we know the truth. Yeah, from the spot that Malcolm stood, looking out through the window, I'm looking out over my...